Yes, nice and decent people. I want to talk about crime, crime from a different perspective. I want to talk about certain indices, certain markers that I have used over the years that convinced me that we would have been in the situation that we're in right now as it relates to the crime situation that we have. What we have to is a situation where, um, for the most part, people have been desensitized to crime. People have been desensitized to the plight of other people. And even when they share information on the social media, it is almost like people behaving like they are working for a news company where they want to be the first to report the news. Breaking news, CNN, they were the first ones who reported that information. So a lot of times you see people sending things around the internet. It is almost like they want to be like praised for being the one to break some kind of news or information. People have been desensitized. But there are some indices, some markers that I have used over the years or that I have observed that really alerted me to the fact that things are going to get very, very bad and unbearable and intolerable to the country. One of the things that really showed me that things would have been very bad as it relates to crime is what I consider the good boy syndrome. You have a situation where when somebody commits a crime, especially when a young person get involved in some crime and they end up being killed as a result of somebody taking revenge or something like that. Invariably, what you would hear is that the mother would come on television and say that the son is a good boy. And there are some of us in society who know that this is not true at all. And the mother or the person, the parent, and whoever it is coming on the television and saying that the people are good, they know for a fact that the people are not good. The people may be good to them, but they know that the people are terrorists in the society. Yet they come around and try to convince the populace that these people are good. In my time, it was not like that. In my time, when I was growing up, your parents would discipline you, they would not hide your bad habits or your tricks. And even when you are innocent, you will still find yourself in a bad situation sometimes. There was a time I was coming from school, and just after you pass in the valley, Denry Valley, just after you pass that house where Nano used to live in Larishus, just where Lincoln has his banana farm, I found $25 on the road. I was the only person walking there at that time. I found $25 on the road. I picked up the $25. So when I arrived at the house, I showed my mother the money and I told her that I found $25. My mother behaved as if I stole that $25. And she ordered me to return that money exactly where I found it. By that time, it was getting dark, and I had to go back, walk back all the way to where Lincoln has his bananas from Den Riviere, walk all the way to Lincoln Bananas on the road there, and put back the money on the road and go back. That lady would have never told anybody that I was a good boy if I was getting involved in some of these kind of activities. So the good boy syndrome is one of the things, one of the signs one of the markers that really alerted me to the fact that things are getting red in this place. Because in my time, parents were not like that. There was a simple thing that happened that convinced me that things were very bad again. One time I was driving towards Millet a while back. I was driving to Millet, and when there's that junction where one road goes to there's a road going straight to Tetshime, and there's another road going to, I think, Kaiko, and there's a bus stop there somewhere around there. There were some guys that were actually gambling in the road, and I had to literally stop my vehicle and allow them to take off the gambling instruments and tools and paraphernalia out of the road for me to pass. In addition to that, there are certain places that you drive during the daytime, high noon, you would see young guys drinking white rum and gambling. And these things have been happening. I saw these things happening around 10 years ago. And these are some of the things, another index, again, that shows me that one of these days, very soon, that things would get very messy in this place. There was another thing that happened that was it was very personal to me. That again was a serious marker to convince me that, boy, things will get rough in this place. There's a guy, a young guy, he was going to secondary school. Now there were times I noticed that he wasn't going to school. Now I don't want to be seeing anybody who's supposed to be in school out of school. So I went to him and I tell him, why is it that you're not going to school? Why is it that you are here? You need to be in school, and why is it that you're not in the school? So he told me that his mother doesn't have money to send him to school. I told him, okay, anytime your mother doesn't have money to send you to school, check me. I'll give you some money to go to school. So then early in the morning he would knock, bam, bam, bam. He would tell me that he don't have money to go to school today. I'll give him the money. It reached a point where he was coming. It was almost like every day, every time his mother don't have money, so he would come. I would give him the money to go to school. Now there was a time there was a guy who was doing some work for me, and he had a problem with the guy. You know how they have imaginary wars and imaginary beefs among themselves? He was in a conflict with the guy. They have their sides, they have their people, like their little gang or whatever. And he had a problem with the guy. There was some fighting thing going on. So one time I'm walking, and he was standing in front of the guy that's supposedly in the same group or the same gang or the same faction as he. So while I was passing, the guy would look at me and call me pussy. That thing really rubbed me the wrong way. I was taken aback. I didn't say anything. I'm saying, look at this. I was giving that boy money to go to school. And now I have become a pussy. And I have no idea. Nothing. I do not know nothing about their beef, their arguments, and their wars. I do not know anything about that. But this guy forget that I used to give him money on a daily basis to go to school. When I think about it, I said to myself, boy, the society is just worse than we're really thinking. And that one shook me. You understand? All of these little things showing me that the society is rotten. And it is almost like we're on a collision course in St. Lucia. And someday something is just going to, like, things will just break and we'll just not be able to fix it. And that's one of my biggest concerns in the place. Another thing is this. When I was growing up, there were different groups. There were different groups that were designed to benefit people, and people could have come together and help each other. It was customary when somebody had to build a house that the different people in the community would come and help, and things like that. They were very cooperative in nature. We have reached a point now where the organizations and the institutions that used to hold people together, that used to strengthen people economically and socially, these things have been slowly eroded from the society. And as a result of that, there's a lot of individualism and there's a lot of pressure on the individual as compared to before. And I'm seeing as if these things are bringing about more stress among people. It is making life harder for some people in the society. And because of those little things, I'm seeing like things would have gotten worse with time. Um, there is a I hinted on it a while ago, but there is this thing. There is the I think mothers now, parents now are enablers of crime and wickedness in this place. You see, in my era, there were few enablers. There have always been enablers, parents who are enablers on the face of the earth and this country. But right now, there are much more enablers than before. And and a lot of times, there seem to be a pattern of people enabling bad behavior from the time the children are small. I will give you another example again. When I was around maybe 10 years old, and went in the river to bathe, people catching fish and all of these things, crayfish, and they would go out there home and cook with green bananas and coconut and things like that. So there's a guy there who believed that he probably felt like he could have given me a whooping. He probably felt like I was weak. So he wanted to fight. But it ended up in a situation where I ended up beating him badly. He underestimated me a lot, which people have people have always been underestimating me in life. And he got a beating. So his mother took him to my grandmother, and his mother is trying to convince my grandmother to beat me. His mother know very well that this boy is a troublemaker. The whole community know that this boy is a troublemaker. All of them know from the time I came out of the womb, I have never given trouble to anybody, even up to now. But she's trying to convince and insist that my grandmother beats me. But the lady was a wise person and she realized that there is no way that thing is not true. I know the nature of that guy. This guy is not like that. So she told my grandmother told her that she'll deal with me. So when she left, my grandmother said that she ain't gonna do nothing to me because she knows everybody know how that boy is, and people know that I am not a person who will look for trouble with people. And it is true that the guy troubled me by the river for sure. Like just fast forward years and years after that, this guy has been involved in a lot of high level crime in the country. High level crime in the country. Why? Because the mother was an enabler to him all of these years. You understand? That's what we have going on in the place. We have a lot of enablers of crime in different arenas of the society. You have a lot of people who are encouraging crime. You have a lot of unlawlessness in this country. And just by just driving on this road, if you are very observant, you will see you will notice that there are certain people. You can know who is selfish by the way they drive. You can know who are the people who are patient. You can know who the people who are aggressive. You can know people. You can even see people who have the potential to kill other people by the way they drive. You can see people who have hidden rage and anger in them just by the way they drive. There are simple things, simple indices, simple things by just observation. You can know about people by just observing more. And I just thank God that I do not talk much, but I observe a lot of things. You understand? And by little things, you can know a lot about people. There are people with no regards for no one but themselves. And based on the way they drive, you can see that. You do not have to interact with them. You can just see those things. You understand? Just 2 days ago, I was going down to Denry village, and I passed by going down through La Pointe. There's this place where the Raymond Wholesale, where they sell the rum and things like that. Now I was going down, so I have the right of way because on the other side, the side closer to the store, there was a line of vehicles. So any vehicle coming up, he has to come away from those vehicles, and he would be on my side. So it stands to reason that he has to wait until I come through for him to come. I had already passed parallel, I was already parallel to the line of vehicles, and he had not even started coming up through that area yet. When this guy saw the vehicle, this guy sped. This guy drove very fast just to block me, and I was on my side, almost 1 foot of the way, and he sped up, being on my side. Me not wanting trouble, and the guy's on my side. I actually reverse the vehicle just to allow him to pass. He being in the wrong. And I just look at him. And this is a guy, some years ago, that same man was involved in an accident, on the highway, where there was a fatality on the highway. Because I remember we had to go to the hospital to see one of the people that was involved in the accident. And it's like this guy has not learned anything, and this guy is still behaving that kind of way on the road. So you can just see the character and the nature of some of these people based on the way they drive. The people, it's like we have reached a point where people do not respect people no more. People do not respect property. You have situations where somebody will plant their crop on their farm, and it is just okay for some people to think that they can just go and harvest the people thing and go and sell it at a low price. There is very little regard for life, very little regard for people's property. People have no manners, no respect. I remember a long time ago when I was growing up as a child, one thing I can remember that guy, Prime Minister John Compton saying was manners maketh man, and it has not changed. Manners still maketh man, and the same anger that everybody else feel, the people who feel like they can do whatever, everybody feel anger too. But the thing is, you have to be able to control yourself. You understand? You cannot be living in a society where you feel like you can say what you want, when you want, how you want, do what you want. Your liberty stops when it starts affecting other people's civil rights. You have to feel and you have to know that you're accountable to other people. You can't just be saying what you want in the society. You have to be accountable to other people. It must be that if you say something wrong or do something wrong, there must be somebody that can pull you up. You have to be accountable to some people or to somebody. You cannot just do what you want in the society. And that is what we're seeing. We see a situation where people feel they can do what they want. We have a situation now where it is very customary now. Every weekend, you'll see some fellas putting some big speakers on their vehicles, and even when people want to sleep, they will pass around if these loud things making noise, disturbing people when they're sleeping. You understand? This is what people feel like they can do. People feel they can do what they want. And it does not, and the thing is that we do not have to be putting laws to regulate those things. But it is just a matter of common sense. You cannot do what you want in a society. You have to think about other people too. You can't say what you want. You can't just be doing what you want. You have to be accountable to people. You have to be accountable to people in your own family, people outside. So you have to be accountable to people. You can't just be thinking that you can do what you want. And right now you have so many people. You have and I've spoken to some of the young fellas riding the scooters and the bikes without proper shoe. I've spoken to them about, you seen all of them riding with slippers and without helmets, and invariably a lot of them do not have a license. Don't they have parents to ensure that they get their licenses? You've seen there are certain people you can just watch them even driving vehicles and you know that they do not have a license, and they have parents. What is the role of parents now? What is the role of the parents? And anyway, finally, the one thing I have to say as it relates to this is that there is an element of crime prevention